This is Chicago, queen of the Great Lakes and wonder city of the Middle West, where American enterprise and progressive people have combined to build in less than a century the second largest metropolis in North America. A panorama of its picturesque skyline fronting Michigan Avenue reveals that the city fathers built with an eye for practical stability as well as for beauty of design. We soon learned that Chicago is a city of superlatives, outstanding among which is the Stevens Hotel, the largest in the world, containing 3,000 rooms. Chicago's many fine hotels have been instrumental in making it one of America's foremost convention and tourist cities. There being over 150,000 rooms available within the metropolitan center and several thousand more in the suburban districts. Driving along Michigan Avenue, we passed the Chicago Public Library, containing over 800,000 volumes. And there before us, in all its white majesty, is the world-renowned Wrigley Building. Among the other architectural masterpieces of the city are the Shedd Aquarium, the Chicago Museum of Natural History, formerly known as the Field Museum, and Soldier Field Stadium, built in the classic tradition of ancient Greek and Roman architecture. A boat trip on the Chicago River reveals another thrilling view of the city's great skyscrapers, including the Chicago Tribune building, home of one of the world's leading newspapers, and the Wrigley Tower. Musical appreciation has always been one of Chicago's inherent characteristics, and it is convincingly confirmed by this 42-story building, occupying a whole city block and housing the Civic Opera, in which the world's finest music is featured. And now we come to another superlative, the Merchandise Mart, said to be the largest building of its kind on the face of this earth. Like an artery of life, the Chicago River flows from Lake Michigan through the heart of the city and provides transportation for a continuous procession of boats carrying cargo to and from the Great Lakes. It was along this unassuming waterway that native Indians once paddled their canoes, and early white traders first planted the seeds of commerce that started a growth so fast and stupendous that it has never been equaled in the building of a great metropolis. In addition to commercial shipping, the Chicago River is also a terminus for the palatial pleasure craft that ply the Great Lakes. And here is one just starting out on a summer excursion trip through Benton Harbor, Michigan. So much for boats and the Chicago River. Now let us turn our attention to trains, for Chicago is served by about 40 railroads, making it the largest transportation center in the world.
In June of 1951, Teddy Roe was one of Chicago's biggest policy kings, and he was under pressure from the outfit. The outfit was the Chicago's Mafia. They originated in 1910 on Chicago's South Side under the leadership of Johnny Torrio and Al Capone. The outfit rose to power in the 1920s during Prohibition, when the city's most notorious gangsters fought for control and power over the illegal distribution of alcohol. By the late 1940s, the outfit was well established, and its emerging godfather, Sam Giancana, aka Mooney, was the head of the Mafia's takeover operation. You see, Teddy Roe refused to be intimidated by the mob, and he wasn't letting them take over his business easy. Teddy Roe was very similar to Stephanie Madam St. Clair, aka Queenie. When you think of policy banking, or the numbers game, or running numbers, most people always think of Harlem. Make sure you go check out my Harlem Stories Part 1 through 4. But for right now, let's talk Chicago. Teddy Roe was a black policy banker born on August 26, 1898 from Galliano, Louisiana. He grew up poor and took on low-paying jobs just as most of black folks around that time. During his 20s, he got involved in bootlegging, but that only lasted for a few years. He had some experience as a tailor and ended up moving to Detroit and then Chicago, and that's where he began working for a man named Ed Jones. Shortly after working as a tailor for Ed joined the policy world. Teddy worked for Ed and ran his policy business at the back of his tailor shop. By 1930, Ed and his brother, the Jones brothers, were racking in close to $2,000 a day. This was in the 1930s, so they were crazy paid. They were one of the richest families in the country. Ed Jones' rise to the top as a policy king connected him with political figures and other powerful people in Chicago. Some of the people he was now connected with were in positions of power due to the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, orchestrated by Al Capone. But we'll get more into Al Capone on another video. As a top policy king in Chicago, Ed Jones became the leader of the statewide Big 12 syndicate. This was Chicago's top 12 policy kings. They consisted of people like Big Jim Martin, Walter Kelly, Illy Kelly, Jim Knight, Mac Jones, Bill Driver, and more. Ed Jones's influence boosted business activities of the Big 12 to where they had over 10,000 workers. Teddy Rowe was a bookkeeper for Ed Jones. After the FBI indicted Ed Jones over his involvement in the policy racket, Teddy then rose to power. Teddy Rowe was the man now. Ed Jones was locked up with a man named Sam Giancana. Ed loved to brag about his empire and all of his dealings with the policy world. Sam Giancana played Ed. He came off as a friend, while he low-key took notes of everything that Ed was telling him. Finessed him so much that when it was time for his release, Ed gave Sam $100,000 to start up his own policy business. Sam finessed Ed out of so much money and knowledge, and now it was his time to be set free. When Sam was released, he told his brother Chuck, "I had no idea that niggas was living like this." See, Ed didn't know that Sam Giancana was a hardcore racist who hated Negroes. It's funny how those old mobsters thought black folks weren't intelligent, but they copy black folks' whole entire blueprint in the policy world. And what black folks need to understand, those old Italian mobsters, they would have hated you. They would have called you derogatory names. All these rappers who named themselves after mobsters, I've never understood why. So after finessing Ed Jones the way he did, in 1946, the outfit kidnapped Ed Jones. And of course, all of the intel came from Sam Giancana. They held Ed Jones for a week and demanded $250,000 ransom. Teddy talked them down to $100,000. And after his release, Ed Jones packed his things up and moved to Mexico, retiring his business. But Teddy said he wasn't going. Teddy said he would rather face death than to surrender. The outfit sent out an agreement. Either accept them taking 40% of your earnings, or it'll be open season on the black policy kings. Teddy Rowe still didn't accept. Teddy was driving one night when he noticed a car following him. Teddy mashed on the gas until he came to a screeching halt, and then he had to hop out on foot and run. 4 men hopped out in a pursuit for Teddy. Teddy got away. Teddy was the only black policy banker left, and he ran all of the gambling between Roosevelt and Halstead, making him over $1 million a year. Him standing up to the mob made him a folk hero in the black community. Teddy ordered many hits on the outfit, and bodies were dropping on both sides. Teddy was fighting back. One night in 1951, Teddy Rowe was on his way home as he glanced in the rearview mirror and he noticed a 1951 Ford trailing him. They flagged him down and he parked his car on the side of the road. Teddy stepped out with his .38 caliber inside his coat. One of the men introduced himself and said that he was from the state's attorney's office and said that he would like to have a word with Rowe. Teddy said, "How do I know you're from the state's attorney's office?" The imposters were men sent by Sam Giancana, and it was Fat Lenny, Vincent Lowley, and Jimmy New York. They had orders to kidnap Teddy Rowe. But they wasn't aware that Teddy had his own protection trailing him. And without hesitation, they started blasting, round after round. They ended up finishing off Fat Lenny, and they popped Vincent in the shoulder as he and Jimmy fled. They both got away. Teddy was bombing with the outfit. He never backed down and never refused to fold. But with all the black policy kings out of the way, Teddy being outmanned, outgunned, it was only a matter of time before they got to Teddy. On August 4th, 1952, two men parked in their gray 1950 Chevy sat outside of Teddy's house. Teddy stepped out and went to his car. And as he opened the door, Teddy was hit 5 times with a 12-gauge shotgun. The policy king Teddy Rowe was pronounced dead at the scene. This was Chicago Stories Part 1. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure you subscribe, and let me know what you think in the comment section.